Before we start today's video, I have a huge announcement that will only take 1 minute of your time, so please stick around and hear me out. I'm excited to say that I'm launching a podcast with fellow YouTuber Garrett, who runs the channel Football Analysis, where we'll obviously be talking about sports, but we'll also be diving into the world of sports betting and our journeys to try to hit big. The show is called Degeneracy, which is obviously a tongue-in-cheek way to describe our sports betting journeys, and we'll be putting out episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, along with video episodes being posted on the Degeneracy YouTube channel, which will be linked down in the below, so please go subscribe to that and show some love. We're both very passionate sports fans, obviously, who love betting on sports as well, as we've done for a while now, and it's something we like to discuss anyway. So, if you find yourself in the same boat, then show some love to the channel by giving it a subscribe and listening to the show if you're an audio listener, because it's something we're incredibly excited about getting started on. Now with that being said, let's get back to the video. As you all can see from the title of the video, we're going through the top picks in the draft and giving them a grade for the first half of their rookie season so far, so we'll start with number 1 pick Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic, and his grade thus far is a solid A. Banchero started the season blisteringly hot, but since those first 4 weeks, he has cooled off a little bit. That's not to say that he hasn't been unbelievable for rookie standards, and he's definitely still the leader for the Rookie of the Year race, but he's also been experiencing more of the typical rookie inconsistencies lately. He is without question a gifted scoring talent with an NBA-ready body that has helped him abuse mismatches, but he does need to learn to stay under control and pick his shots better, because he does have a tendency to force some bad shots at times, and that has hurt his efficiency. Obviously, based on the grade, he is still very much having a great year, and the things I've been discussing are nitpicks, but it's basically just my reasoning for giving him an A and not an A+. Next, the second pick was Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who suffered an injury that has forced him to miss the entire season, so obviously we can't give him a grade. The third pick in the draft was Jabari Smith Jr. by the Houston Rockets, though, and the grade for the first half of his rookie season is a C+. I gave out grades for the first month of the season as well, and Jabari's first month in the league was pretty bad to say the least, so this grade as a whole is actually an improvement from that time. He came into the NBA viewed as one of the best talents in the draft, obviously, hence why he got taken in the top 3, so he had higher expectations compared to some others in the class, but he hasn't necessarily been living up to that hype so far. Jabari was drafted as early as he was because he was labeled as the best two-way talent, as someone who could shoot the lights out of the ball incredibly well from deep and lock up on defense. His shooting has picked up as the season has progressed, but overall it's still been subpar, and while he has been good on defense, he hasn't necessarily been as good as the Rockets were probably hoping. Obviously, he still has plenty of potential, and there's plenty of time for him to develop into the player most were hoping he could be, but he hasn't quite gotten there yet. Next, with the fourth pick, the Sacramento Kings selected Keegan Murray, and the grade for the first half of his season is a B+. The Kings have been having an exciting resurgence this season, and Murray has been playing his role perfectly. He's not a high-usage guy and is more often than not the fifth option in their high-powered offense, but he spaces the floor very well, knocking down 40% of his threes, and he's always ready to shoot when a look presents itself. Overall, he's averaging about 12 points and 4 rebounds per game, which is good for a player in the role that he's in, but it's not spectacular enough to break into the A-grade range. The Kings were questioned when they selected him this early in the draft, but Murray has been silencing all of those doubters, and has looked like a player with a long, productive career ahead of himself. Next, with the fifth pick, the Detroit Pistons selected Jaden Ivey, and the grade for the first half of his season so far is a B+. Ivey and Murray were debated about a ton regarding who should have been drafted first, but honestly, they've both been pretty good all things considered. Ivey is having a productive year, averaging about 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, and he's also experiencing the same kind of inconsistencies that rookie guards typically always experience. He's a playmaker with blistering speed, but with that comes stretches where he gets a bit out of control, and his inefficiencies aren't really much different than any other rookie guard throughout history. He will need to improve as a perimeter shooter over time, but overall, he's been very promising in the first half of the season. Next up is 6th pick Bennedict Mathurin of the Indiana Pacers, and the grade for the first half of his season is an A. Mathurin has been outperforming all expectations so far this year, providing a lethal scoring punch off the bench that not only has him in the Rookie of the Year race, but in the 6th Man of the Year race as well. He's scoring about 17 points per game as an aggressive driver of the basketball who has the explosiveness around the rim to finish strong. Unfortunately, his jumper has been much less consistent as the season has progressed, but it hasn't held him back from scoring in bunches, and as I will continue to mention, rookie guards typically always come with inconsistent shooting nights. Up next is 7th pick Shaedon Sharpe of the Portland Trail Blazers, and the grade for his season so far is a B. Sharpe was a mystery coming into the draft because we didn't actually get to see him play at the college level, but now that he's on the court playing regularly, you can't help but come away impressed with his potential. His role on the Blazers fluctuates game to game because he's one of the youngest players in the league, but his otherworldly athleticism and bounce have created some incredible highlights this year, and outside of the big plays, he's genuinely been a solid scorer who can produce in bunches. I still think he can be one of the best players in this draft class 5 years down the road, but for now, he's just a nice bench piece. Next up is 8th pick Dyson Daniels of the New Orleans Pelicans, and the grade for his season so far is a B+. This might seem like too high of a grade for a player averaging just 4 points per game, but Daniels provides in so many underrated areas that get glossed over by a lot of people. For one, Daniels has been a smart, efficient player who hasn't tried to do too much or force things. Second, he is far and away the best perimeter defender in this draft class, and his defensive talent has been a very nice boost for the Pelicans bench that has needed to step up in the absence of both Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. He's been so impressive defensively that he has been trusted to close games on a few occasions as a teenager because the team knows that he's been their best option in that regard. Up next is 9th pick Jeremy Sochan of the San Antonio Spurs, and the grade for his season so far is a B-. Sochan is another player who provides solid defensive impact already as a youngster, but offensively he definitely needs work. There are times where he shows off his promising court vision as a playmaker, but then there are times where he looks lost out there. His shooting is the biggest area of weakness that definitely needs to improve, but he's been getting better as the season has gone on, which is all you can ask for young rookies like this. And finally, the last player we'll be discussing today is 10th pick Johnny Davis of the Washington Wizards, and unfortunately, the grade for his season is an F. Davis is the one player looking like a potential bust so far because in the times that he's been given a chance, he just looks completely out of place. He was drafted because he was a pure scoring talent who has struggled to score the ball at the next level. He spent most of his time down in the G League where you would expect a scoring talent to dominate, but he hasn't even been that impressive down there either, averaging just 12 points per game on subpar efficiency against that level of competition. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would have graded the rookies so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.